All right, guys, so today we're talking about how to preserve resale value of a car. We have the perfect car behind us. We have the Porsche. This is a poster child for a car that does hold resale very, very well. Maybe one of the best cars for resale that I've seen, as long as you have the right model Porsche. In this case, we have our Cayman S. But we're going to go through kind of a checklist, kind of what buyers don't want to see in buying a car and things they do want to see. And it very well may shock you the answers to some of these questions. I think a lot of you have a wrong outlook on selling stuff. So let's see. We're bringing it real close to the Porsche and we'll show you every little detail. Okay, so the very first thing is going to be the paint. Now, I'll be the first one to say this. None of my cars here are perfect. None of the cars you see on the road are perfect. Unless it's brand new, it's not going to be perfect. It just is not that way. Now, you need to have it, like, what are you comfortable with? Whatever car you go to look at, it's going to have chips. It's going to have little swirls in the paint. It just is going to be that way. So this car actually has a little bit of a spot right here. We'll get Amanda here to show you. Yeah, Amanda's on the camera, not Philip, so be easy with her here. It has a little scratch right there, and actually the Porsche dealership is what did that. And then as you go around, you can see there's not too much on this car. You can see a little bit of clear coat problem right here. If you can see that. Can you get in there or not? There you go. Oh, yeah. And so you're going to see a little bit of that. The next biggest turnoff, a little scratch, little nick's fine. But if the car is all dull looking and all chalky, that's going to turn off a seller, right? That's the trademark, hallmark of you're not taking care of your stuff. If you're not washing your car, if you're not taking care of the interior, you're sure as in the hell not taking care of the engine or any of the drivetrain. That's for sure. And another thing is taillights. A lot of people are very sensitive to taillights. Some people love factory taillights. Some people hate factory taillights. So you gotta kind of feel the general consensus for stuff. This has the newer updated taillights, but some people don't like that. So whatever mod you do to it, always save your old lights, save your old trim pieces. That way, that's a selling point in the ad. If they don't like it, they can put it back the way it was. Interior, we'll let Amanda show you here a little bit. The light situation here is a little to be desired. Leather seats. Leather seats need to be very well looked after. They need to be cleaned with appropriate stuff. These look like they're pretty much new, right? Probably looks dark as hell on the camera, but it's not in real life. Another thing is the carpets. The carpets, see the floor mats are a little bit dusty in this. You know, another trick we always do here, we always take the factory floor mats that are carpet out, and we save them, we'll throw them away, we save them. But to actually use the car, you're going to be a lot better off with a factory floor mat, even though this one is not fitted quite right, because they sent me the wrong one, the factory floor mat, and that way you can keep it clean. You know, always vacuum your cars out. Never just let it go. The first demise of a nice car is letting it go. Mainly here it's in the wintertime, and a lot of people is like, well, you know, I don't want to get out in the cold and wash my car and that kind of stuff. You know, the other thing is going to be driving in the snow. Here's the first rule, the very first rule. You never want to drive a car like this in the snow. Because what you're going to see if you do that is all the heads of all the bolts will start getting rusty. Stuff will start getting surface rust, which could lead to rust. These cars are not prone to rust. BMWs are not prone to rust. What is prone to rust is brake lines, fuel lines, and things like that. Things you don't want rusting. And we've all seen that. You know, we've been up north in a nearly brand new car. You open up the hood, all the heads, all the bolts are resting under the hood on almost a brand new car. And I fully understand a lot of people cannot afford to buy two different cars. But, you know, you can't, that's why you shouldn't daily something like this if you want to keep it nice. And the problem is, we see it on BMWs all the time. The market will drop on stuff. People that shouldn't have the cars can buy them for cheap, and they just ruin them. They treat it as a Chevy Cobalt. the Chevy Cobalt is what we call a throwaway car. You use it and throw it away like a Kia or something. You know, it really is a sad situation. And, you know, take it for as you want. But the next biggest thing is the drivetrain. Now, will having paperwork to show you did stuff help? Probably. But it probably doesn't make as big of a difference as what you actually think it does. Because every time I ever sold a car, people would casually see if I had that, but that was not a deal breaker at all. What we found out here and now, we just had Amanda's Camry has this problem. She just replaced alternator on it. But it was a reman alternator. So it's already having bearing sounds, bearing noise. Just because somebody did the work, that does not mean they used the correct parts. That does not mean they did the work correctly. And as far as buying a car anymore these days, you can just get in and drive and never touch. That doesn't really exist. Even Toyota stuff has issues. And a lot of that's due from people not maintaining stuff right. So when stuff's supposed to be done, it's not. So whenever you get it, usually they're selling a used car because it's starting to have problems and they want to get rid of it. That's every BMW, every Porsche, everything you see is for sale right at 100,000 miles. That's when stuff starts having issues if you don't start replacing stuff and maintaining it. The very last thing, the biggest turnoff to anybody, and this is a double-edged sword, is buying a car from a dealership. So yeah, buying stuff from dealerships, like we were saying, those are all auction cars. That's fine if you work. I'm trying not to sound like an asshole on this one. If you work at a dealership, you're pushing that situation. Obviously, everything's money-based. Everything to do with cars is all money-based. However, if you buy it from a dealership, you cannot talk to the previous owner. And depends on what it is, you want to talk to the previous owner to understand everything about the car. So you need to know what you need to do when you get it. Buying from a dealership, you're buying 100% blind. There is no way around it. That's a horrible way to buy, especially an expensive sports car. We bought the G-Wagon. That was from a dealership. You know, that was the I don't know club. I don't know. Here it is. It's wrapped. We don't know nothing about it. Smell you later. And that's the kind of stuff you see. They just want to get the money from your pocket to their hand. That's it. So anyhow, let's go back around the car here. We're going to look at the tires and wheels. We're going to Amanda come over here and show us this. I'll grab the light. This may be the worst video I've ever done. We'll see. It might be the best. I'm walking right in front of the camera and crap. Okay, so on the wheel, I'm showing on the wheel over here. It's Amanda's first video, so. The one huge thing is tires that are worn uneven. Nobody wants to buy a car with that. Dry rotted tires. Tires are a catch-22 because chances are whoever buys a car is going to put the tires they want on it. This is the only car we ever bought here that still has the same tires that came on it. These are Continental Contact. I don't like those, but they're brand new. So what are you going to do, throw them away? Also, the wheels being black. If your wheels are black and covered with brake dust, nobody wants to see that crap. And if you're lazy on washing your car and you have nice wheels, when you go to wash them, you're going to figure out that it ate into the clear coat, ate into the paint, and you can't clean them. And you've ruined the wheels. And then you need to refinish them or whatever. Another thing people want to see, they do want receipts for things like front control arms, if it's at the mileage. If there's timing chain, known timing chain guide problems on the car, they want that. And coolant issues, coolant line issues are a huge thing on German cars. Not so much on Toyota stuff, but on German stuff for sure. Anything that's a known issue like the M5, the rod bearings. If those engines are prone for having rod bearing problems, it's going to be damn hard to sell that car if you just say, I don't know. That I don't know is not good enough unless you're selling it for a quarter of the price. And people that want to pay a regular standard price for a car want to know on rod bearings if they've been done or not, or any kind of timing chain or Vanos lines. Selling a car for over the market value. We see this Amanda will tell you, we see it every day on Facebook and eBay. So yeah, asking too much for cars. We see it all the time. Asking 3 or 4 times the price. We see it every day. All right, guys, so today's video is brought to you by Top Don. And they sent me their new battery charger maintainer. Now, if you watched past videos, a year or so ago, we were on the hunt for a battery maintainer. And we ended up buying the Optima one, which is fairly spendy. It does work correctly. This has a little more of a quick charge if you need it. And this goes down, I think, to 3 amp. Okay, so what makes this charger so unique, it'll charge by any battery. Wet cell, gel, MFCA, AGM, lithium ion. It'll charge anything and not damage it. So just to clarify, what we use these kind of chargers for is to be able to hook it to a car. If a German car sits 2 weeks or over, especially if it's a BMW, the battery will run down and go dead. So here it's so frustrating. If you leave something set too long, you want to get it out, go drive it, and the battery's dead. You don't want that. It causes all kinds of computer errors. It can cause issues with the car, or it can ruin your battery, especially if the battery is very low and then it freezes, right? So this thing actually has tons of charging modes. You have for 6 volt, 8 amp, 12 volt, 8 amp, 12 volt repair charge. It's probably ultra slow, and 12 volt 3 amp, which is going to be a trickle charge. So let's hook us to the Porsche. We'll show you the screen and everything about it. Okay, so we got to hook it with the Porsche here, and we're going to. We turned it on. Flashing will take just a second here, and it should read what's going on with the battery. We might have to do mode first. Yeah, 12.4 volts at 0.5 amp. So I guess that's what it's charging right now. And it shows that it's cold. Operation is normal. And now it's throttling up as it knows the battery's okay. It shows only 25% charged. But heck, when's the last time we drove this car? It's been a while. Pulling in and out the shop, that's what it'll get you. It just goes to show you that's a perfect reason to have one of these. When we had, last year we had 9 cars here. Every time we got into something was dead. If you didn't drive it within a few days or a week, just the way stuff is. And even if you get a battery, you just want to charge, you don't have to be right now. You could just put this on a battery out of the car and charge it. And you don't have to worry about leaving. And you're like, oh my God, I left the battery charger on. No, this thing just stays on and that's it. It's up to charging up 2.4 amps right now. So what kind of charges it needs go up and down, up and down. Battery charger. It even go back to 0 if needed, and it sit there. And if it needs anything, it'll kick back on and go. Absolutely great device. Put a link in the description for this, guys. If you want this, go in there and check it out. Here's the thing. When people look at those ads, they think, well, my $3,000 car is worth 10 grand because this guy's asking 11 for it. And I kind of messed up the price on stuff. It gives it a false narrative to where you go in there and look and everybody's raised the price from one guy having his price high, but nobody's selling anything anymore. We've seen that on the M3 market, on the M5 market. We've seen that on every car we sold, except for the Blue E39. That actually was sold really quick for a good price. Older stuff that doesn't cost very much, you kind of have that though. Expensive cars though, you cannot. We see the E60 M5s for sale for 38, 40, 45, 50 grand. But in reality, a nice one of those is 20 grand. It doesn't matter how much you wish and pray and hope to try to skew the numbers. When it comes down to it, that's the price. The price is the price. You can't BS that. It doesn't matter if Elon Musk owned it and licked the seat in it. It doesn't matter. It's not going to raise the price that much, and especially if you haven't done the maintenance to it. And but yeah, interesting video. Hope you guys kind of see the angle I'm coming from on it. It may be a little hard to follow. We'll try to edit so it is easier to follow. But those are things to look out for whenever you're buying or going to sell a car, or when you're going to buy a car, what to look for not to do.